By now, you'd probably know our feelings on this week's edition of Monday Night Raw, but rather than slate it further, there are a few things WWE secretly told us. So let's waste no further time and get straight into number 1. Seth and Becky's relationship could be played out on WWE television. It was only a few weeks ago that Becky Lynch made a subtle reference on Twitter as to who she's dating in WWE. This was during a war of words with Beth Phoenix by tagging in Seth Rollins after she asked if they're involving their men into this exchange. The two have been seen in public together, more noticeably sitting next to each other at this year's Hall of Fame ceremony. But Seth would be the one to officially confirm it on Instagram by posting a picture of him and the Last Kicker locking lips backstage. So with their relationship in the open, WWE might have plans of featuring it on WWE television, and this week's episode dropped a subtle hint. As Rollins was being stretchered out of the arena thanks to an attack by Brock Lesnar, Becky Lynch was noticeably by his side. With only a brief mention by Heyman a few weeks ago by saying Seth had to wait for 7 hours for his girlfriend to main event, this is the first time we have seen them together on screen. WWE could include Lynch into the picture as Lesnar continues to show his dominance on the red brand, perhaps even attack her, which could fire up the architect. Number 2. The 24/7 stipulation has been more positively received than WWE expected. The WWE Universe wasn't exactly enthralled by the unveiling of the 24/7 Championship a few weeks ago. The title's design didn't help either. But thanks to R-Truth, who has put some serious effort into making the belt mean something, with his on and off screen comedy skits by evading challenges for the belt, it's turned what was an average idea into one of the most watched segments on Raw. His golf course antics with Jinder Mahal garnered nearly 5 million views in one day on WWE's YouTube channel, with a massively positive rating. Again, his evasion shenanigans on this week's edition of Raw consistently received massive views and positive ratings on YouTube. This has led to WWE having more faith in the angle and a title that nobody really cared about at the beginning. Number 3. The wildcard rule is clearly hindering the rest of the main roster. The wildcard rule has been in effect for about 3 weeks now and has featured a number of Raw superstars showing up on SmackDown and vice versa. While many didn't think much of the rule, it could have served as a way for wrestlers who don't normally get airtime on their brand to show up on another, but all WWE has done since introducing the rule is having the same stars show up every week. In fact, SmackDown Live superstar Roman Reigns has shown up on Raw for the 4th straight week, not exactly wild or unexpected in any way. It's also effectively taken away most of the airtime for other superstars by taking up slots which could have been reserved for other matches. Shockingly, Reddit user Waiting on Network worked out that 56 wrestlers on the main roster haven't wrestled a match on television for the last 2 weeks. The 24/7 Scramble match has been included, but it doesn't include those who have been chasing Truth for the past several weeks unless they've been actually involved in a pin, and he's excluded those who are injured. Still, even without them, talents such as Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura, Shelton Benjamin and Matt Hardy are just some of the names which have been ignored on both shows. What's even more concerning is that WWE have forgotten about their Raw Tag Team Champions, as they haven't appeared for 5 straight weeks. We assumed WWE introducing the wildcard rule would make things more unpredictable, yet they have shown it to be completely predictable by announcing Reigns' appearance and not having a mixture of different talent show up every week. Now WWE could remedy this with an actual open challenge every week, open to everybody on the main roster, and includes NXT, 205 Live and NXT UK. Now that would be a wildcard rule. Number 4. Hidden messages in the Firefly Funhouse episode. This week's edition of Firefly Funhouse has followed the continuous trend of being weird, but heavily entertaining, and similar to every episode, it contains a number of cryptic messages. In episode 7, we were introduced to Huskus the Pig Boy, a throwback to Bray Wyatt's much fuller figure days of Husky Harris in NXT. Bray Wyatt would speak to the pig, and fans would have noticed that not only was this a reference to his previous gimmick, but telling Huskus he will one day transform into Bray Wyatt. He mentioned, nobody's going to tell you this, buddy, but one day, all this excess and this gluttony is going to come back to bite you in the tail. But one day, you could be great. One day, people are going to tell you that you're a genius. They're going to say you have the whole world in your hands. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer elaborated further and mentioned, "The idea is that the pig puppet is all the things that Bray did wrong because he didn't train. Now he's training and all the Husky Harris stuff, all the mistakes that he made. But now he's learned from all his mistakes, and that's the deal." It was very entertaining, really fun stuff. It felt honestly like it should be on someone else's wrestling show, and not this one. Not only that, but there was some obvious satanic symbolism, which included the obvious devil-horned Vince McMahon, pentagram star wipes into the dance video, and the same symbols appearing in the background throughout the video. The word of the day was exercise, and while it wasn't spelt out, Bray could have meant exorcise, the practice of releasing demons from one's body. Seems about right, since something evil is lurking in Bray Wyatt's body. Number 5. We only got 39 minutes of wrestling. A few weeks ago, we discussed in a video about how WWE currently resembles WCW during its final days, and one point we mentioned was the abundance of wrestling on Raw. PW Insider managed to compile just how much wrestling was on the 13th May 2019 edition of Raw, which only totaled 39 minutes. This week's edition of Raw was no different, as the 6-man tag match between McIntyre, The Revival against Reigns and the Usos lasted 14 minutes and 25 seconds. Flair vs Evans was 10 minutes and 35 seconds, Nikki Cross vs Peyton Royce was bang on 6 minutes, and the main event between Ricochet and Cesaro was 9 minutes and 25, adding to again roughly 39 minutes. With this being a 3-hour show, it's embarrassing. As compared to SmackDown Live, which is only a 2-hour show, it features the same amount of wrestling. Number 6. The end of Dark Raw. When Mick Foley unveiled the 24/7 championship, he also mentioned that the third hour would be more, well, Raw. To add to the 24/7 rule and scramble match, WWE turned off most of the lights in the audience and switched up the show's graphics with a darker and grittier set. However, during this episode, we didn't see the show get darker and the graphics remained the same. Has WWE just scrapped the idea entirely? Number 7. Why Flair vs Evans was so awkward. Fans might have noticed that the Evans vs Flair match on Raw really looked awkward at the beginning, with both trying to shoot wrestle, and even at one point Evans trying to take down Flair. Well, Dave Meltzer recently told that this was a worked shoot, saying, "Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans, I don't know what went wrong there. There's gotta be a story, cause they went out there and it was like somebody told them, and I don't know why, but somebody told them to go out there and make it look legit. So they went out there working like it's a shoot, but neither of them had any experience working like a shoot, so they're just kinda like doing legitimate wrestling, and even that part was weird cause you're not used to it, and it looked like Charlotte was blocking her moves and things like that, which looked, it's just not a WWE pattern match. In some ways it could have been good. Then once they opened up, everything was off. Everything was terrible." Number 8. The fans commend Triple H. After Jon Moxley's recent departure from WWE to join All Elite Wrestling, he's been very vocal about the current state of WWE, voicing his opinions on various podcasts. One opinion Moxley believes is true is Triple H could run WWE better than Vince, and judging by the crowd's reaction chanting NXT when the Cerebral Assassin came out to confront the Apex Predator, the crowd thought so too, as they no doubt lauded Triple H's efforts on the booking of NXT TakeOver 25. Number 9. The Undertaker was cut off mid-sentence during the broadcast. The Undertaker made his 25th return to WWE, and even though he's a man of few words, he didn't get enough time to finish what he was saying in the ring, as the broadcast was cut after Taker said, "Goldberg, you're next." Taker in fact had one more line to say, which was his signature rest in peace line. However, WWE had to make a whole exclusive video to post on YouTube to finish off his promo. Whilst the clip is 2 minutes and 26 seconds, it only has Undertaker saying that one line. And number 10, WWE will swerve us. Okay, before we go on, this is not based on rumours, but pure speculation on our part, as the current storyline involving Lesnar and Rollins makes zero sense. The idea of Stephanie McMahon interfering by forcing Lesnar to cash in is just ridiculous. Lesnar hasn't broken any rules. He still has a whole year to cash in, so why are they forcing it? Is it because he's having too much fun? Last night, they teased the cash in, but Lesnar instead gave Rollins a beatdown on Raw, so severe that he was kayfabe taken to a medical facility. Now, Rollins was easy pickings, so why didn't Brock capitalize on this and cash in? Why wait for Friday? We know that this was an effort by WWE to continue to tease us and effectively increase viewership, but we think WWE is going to swerve us by instead having Brock cash in on Kofi. Just look at the circumstances. Why would a heel like Brock Lesnar, who came out at the last minute of the Money in the Bank ladder match, be so obvious about cashing in on Rollins? It results in Rollins being more ready to fight. Instead, the wildcard rule will probably be the downfall of Kofi, as unexpectedly Brock could show up on SmackDown, or Kofi could turn up on Raw, or better yet, a pay-per-view with Kofi letting his guard down because he thinks Brock is concentrating all his efforts on the Universal Champion. Fox have reportedly wanted Brock on SmackDown Live when it airs on the network in October, so we could see Brock as WWE Champion rather than Universal Champion. Think about it and let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.